Good morning, everybody. On behalf of PMI Chennai chapter, I welcome you all to this knowledge sharing session. And today's topic is again with Agile methodology. And to discuss with us in detail in our midst today, we have Mr. Ramanan, who will be conducting an informative session on Agile versus traditional project management. Ramanan has more than 14 years of experience in the IT industry with profound project management skills in both IT infrastructure and cloud-based application development for both mobile and web. He is currently associated with IBM India Private Limited, managing process across countries. He's been instrumental in mentoring many for the PMP, Agile, and Scrum certification. And something very interesting and unique about him is he's also a tarot card reader, and he's been practicing that for more than 6 years. So probably with his permission, we should spend some time with him after the session offline. So, Ramanan, it's a great pleasure having you with us today. Please join us on stage.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Is the mic working? Can you hear me? Yeah. Thanks for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. It's already about 10 o'clock. We'll start with the topic right away. So we are basically going to discuss. I'm not going to present anything. We are going to discuss an interesting topic on Agile-based traditional project management. Why interesting? Because this is in the especially in the development community, this is the most discussed topic now. Whether should we go for Agile? Some feel Agile works. Some feel Agile is just renaming all the roles and just doing something in the pre-sales activity, and development happens as it was happening before. Some people are seeing benefits in Agile. So, so this discussion primarily will consider that you're all aware of traditional method. I'll be taking you through Agile method, and on every slide we move, I'll be comparing it with the traditional method, and finally we will see what is beneficial for a project. So that's what we will see at the end. So first we will cover basically essentials of Agile, and then second we will move on to Agile as we know it today, and then followed by metrics in Agile, how Agile metrics are seen and how traditional metrics are seen, and then followed by Agile influence, which is something new, which is evolving, so it could be interesting for you, and then followed by what is applicable for a project. Should we go for Agile or should we go for a traditional method for a project that we are doing? And then finally, we'll just have a look at the hybrid method of project management, which is evolving now, which is in the very beginning stages. So, moving on. So, Agile has been in existence for around 13, 14 years now. Once 2001, when Agile was officially recognized by the Agile Alliance. So, almost for the last 14, 15 years, Agile has been practiced. And there are people who are seeing benefits in Agile. But as years go by, as people are seeing benefits, there is a major problem that is creeping into Agile methodologies, which is called semantic diffusion. Semantic diffusion is as information passes on from team to team, from people to people, slowly the information gets lost somewhere, and finally we are at a stage where we are following Agile, but it is nowhere related to the essential principles of Agile. So as days go by, we can see.
You can use this.
So as years go by, teams transfer information, teams transfer processes, but slowly everything gets diluted. So the essence in which it was started gets diluted, and finally we are at a stage we are following Agile. But if you bring in people who created the Agile manifesto, they will never agree Agile is being followed. So that is the current stage of Agile. So how do we manage this semantic diffusion? Semantic diffusion is a bigger topic. I'm just touching that in reference to Agile. So how do we manage semantic diffusion? So according to me, if you have to manage semantic diffusion across your teams, across your organization, then you have to constantly reinforce the essentials of Agile. So to reinforce essentials of Agile, we have to go back, even go back before 2001, before when Agile was formally accepted, even before that. Before 2001, basically there are a lot of people trying different things out of the box methodologies for project management. So those things are, in those times, those were called new methodologies. So very few people were trying Scrum method, some were trying XP, but there was no formal formations are there. So everybody was trying different methods. So what was the fundamental principle behind these new methods that were evolving? Basically, there are two fundamental principles on which these methods are evolved. So it is very important to understand these fundamental principles so that we can understand why Agile is happening now, or the way Agile is happening now is correct or not. So the first one would be the attitude towards planning. So that is the first fundamental principle on which all these new methodologies evolve. Uh, Basically, this is how work used to happen before. Plan, then plan, execute, produce. So what basically it says is plan your work your plan. This is basically called predictive planning. So in predictive planning, your success, your approach, everything is basically measured on success is equal to according to plan. So if you're sticking to your plan, you're successful. You've done the planning here. So finally, your performance will be measured on how you're sticking to the plan or the variance from the plan. But that is the value. You can't stick to the plan to the T. You can do everything according to the plan. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't, what you're delivering doesn't add value to the customer, is it really a success? So there is something wrong in the way success is measured. Correct? So there is something wrong in the way success is measured because we can plan anything, we can go according to the plan, but finally, what value are we delivering? There is no mention of value in this predictive approach. So predictive approach was followed all through 20th century. Basically, it came from automobile industries, heavy industries where they plan and they create a process and then they work. So as software industry evolved, we started with predictive approach. So the first mind shift was moving from predictive to another approach which can add value to the development team. So basically, predictive approach, in the predictive approach, what is the, it depends on what. So for any predictive approach, predictive planning to succeed, it depends on this requirements being stable. Your plan can succeed only if the requirements are stable. In case if there is a change in requirement, your plan gets created. You show variance in the plan. And normally, when you do projects in a predictive planning way, most of the time, as we reach 40-50% of the project, we end up into a lot of conflicts with the customer. He says something else, requirements. He starts interpreting requirement. He sees the product half through and he starts interpreting the requirement in a different way. So we start getting into conflicts. We see this is not in the requirement. And then he says this is supposed to be there. This is by default, this should be done. So a lot of conflicts happen. So that is what happens in predictive. So if, in a predictive planning, your success will depend on your requirements being stable. And what they did was all the software development teams, they had certain methods like upfront requirement, change control board, sign-offs from the customer. All these things were arranged to make sure requirements are stable to some extent. If there is any change, that could be managed properly. So moving on from that, as this new methodology evolved, there are some software teams in UK and US who started thinking, this is not the way to do. So they wanted to remove this dependency on the requirements being stable, so that there could be a real value in the delivery. So what they did was they tried to remove the dependency on requirements being stable. Not only that, Mary Poppenick is a very renowned author, and she's worked in all lean project management methodologies. So in the period when this was evolving, she came up with this. At that time, this was very revolutionary quote that she said: "A late change in requirement is a competitive advantage." So today, maybe we feel this is a normal thing. This is what everybody is trying to do today. But think about in 1990s. When somebody came up with such a sentence when you are working on a predictive planning, where you freeze the requirements and then you work, and somebody comes up with this approach, it was considered to be very revolutionary. There are a lot of books she has written on these topics. We can go through in Google. You just type Mary Poppenick, you will get a lot of information on that. Her experience was in lean, so she tried to incorporate lean practices into project management. So as all these things are evolving, a new attitude towards planning emerged during the 90s. So the new attitude towards planning was plan as required and plan as you go. So probably you plan 2 weeks, you plan the second 2 weeks, you plan third 2 weeks, you plan. So you plan as per your requirements change, or you plan as you move on in a structured manner. It's not that you're moving without a plan. You plan as you go forward. As you adopt to the project requirements, you plan accordingly. So normally what we do in a sprint, we do 2 weeks. We do the first planning for 2 weeks, and then sprint gets over. We do sprint review and second planning. So that is what adaptive planning. So this is the first fundamental shift in the thinking, and which eventually resulted in Agile and other methods coming up. So the first fundamental thing is attitude towards planning, moving from a predictive planning approach to an adaptive planning approach. Okay, so that is the first fundamental thing. So moving on. So you if consider that you're okay with the adaptive planning. So how will you do adaptive planning? This is more technical. I'll just give you some information on this, and then I'll move to the next slide. How do you do adaptive planning? Consider I'm okay to plan as I go. I have a software development project. I'm ready to plan every 2 weeks. I'm going to plan as I move on. So what is more important in this case? It's not project management. It is how your project, your software, how it is going to accept the code. You cannot keep deploying every 2 weeks. Your code base will get damaged. Right? Your architecture has to support. Your database architecture has to support. You should be able to expand your architecture further without disturbing it. So there are certain. So that is very important. There are certain methods which are evolved. These don't come under project management. Basically, this comes under technical aspects. But these are very essential. In Agile or any new methodology is not only about project management. Basically, what people do is, especially when they do Scrum, they do all these project management things. Scrum says daily stand-up, everything. You will never see a mention of any technical thing on that. You plan every 2 weeks, you do a sprint. How can you expand an architecture every 2 weeks? You keep changing requirements. How will any database or any architecture that you do, how will it support? Practically, it is not possible. But there are methods to do that. So that needs to be focused on. If you get into an Agile mode or a Scrum mode without focusing on these technical things, eventually you will fail. That's the reason we see some people are frustrated using Agile. And this happens more in Scrum and less in XP. When people follow XP, there are certain technical things which are inbuilt in XP processes, which takes care of it. But Scrum is purely, it's about processes. So there is no mention of any technical things here. These are certain things: self-testing code, continuous integration, refactoring, simple design. These are all very big topics. You can, if you're interested in technical stuff on Agile, you can go and browse about this. There is something also called DevOps, which is very common nowadays. So these things need to be addressed. When you speak about Agile, people only speak about, again I'm reiterating this, people only speak about project management. It is not only about project management. Project management is best practices. When you say you want to deploy every 2 weeks, your code base should be good. Your code base should be able to take the new code. Your architecture should be able to support the expansion of everything. Every new requirements that comes in, your architecture should be able to support that. So this is the first fundamental shift. Predictive to adaptive planning, and for you to succeed in adaptive planning, there is certain technical things that needs to be followed. This was the first attitude change. Moving on, this gentleman. Anybody is aware of this guy? This gentleman? He's called Frederick Winslow Taylor. He's supposed to be the father of management science. And basically, according to me, this guy has had the profound influence on the way we work, professional work, the way we do our professional work in the 20th century. Because he's the one, he's basically into automobile industry. He had factories. He was running machines. So his philosophy was, in the past, the man was first. In the future, the system must be first. So he's the one who segregated processes and systems from people who are doing the work. His ideology, or what he implemented, which successfully everybody followed, and which they said as management science, was people who create the processes and the systems will be a separate team. People who work on the process, who work on the systems will be separate. Maybe they will give feedback, but people who design, process design will happen separately. People who work on the process will be separate. That's what he suggested and successfully implemented in automobile industry. As software industry evolved, we took a lot of things from automobile industry. So software industry also followed the same. So this is how his approach works. All these are processes. So there will be a process team or a research team which will set up all the process. This is how it's going to flow and everything. And they will go ahead and recruit some people, and they will finally set up, put those people on those processes to work. So you need a QA, you recruit a QA, and you put it. It is not that QA will see what is the QA process that needs to be followed. You need a QA, you need an BA So they will do all the process flows. Finally, they will just recruit people. They will put on this. So this is how he worked on automobile medicine, and scientific management also worked in the same way. So this is how, and one software industry was. They followed all these things. They took all this and they took some principles from this. So as this was happening, this guy is very, Alistair Cookburn is a very important person in Agile fraternity. He is one of the person who is involved in Agile Manifesto. So if I could read this, in the title I refer to people as components. That is how people are treated in the process methodology design literature. The mistake is this in this approach is that people are highly variable and non-linear with unique success and failure modes. These factors are first order are of first order and not negligible. So failure of process and methodology designers to account for this then contributes to the sort of unplanned project trajectory we often see. So basically what he says is characterizing people as non-linear first order component in software development. So basically what he's saying is in the process in the earlier slide what we saw, process was defined and people are just a component. So you decide a process, you say he's going to do this, that's all. He's another component for you. He's just like a tool, he's going to do that. So he says people are not components, they are very non-linear, they're variable. Somebody could potential could be different, somebody could think out of the box. So you cannot expect people to give the same results every time. If they follow the same process. Then same person, two different people working on the same process could give you different results. So what basically says is people are non-linear, and whereas in the process-driven thing, they consider people as one of the component. But he says in software, he's talking about in terms of software development. He says in software development, people are the primary component. Process is second. So people are the person who is coding is people. You can have 1,000 processes. If his coding is bad, code is bad. Maybe you'll have a tool to identify the bad code. And so everything comes out of the people. So he says this is the primary shift. When Alistair Cookburn and others are working, this is the primary shift that happened. That they said people are the primary components in software development. Process follows. Okay, this is the second major shift. So if you see, this is what they proposed and Alistair Cookburn followed. There will be a set of people working on a project. They will decide on the process. They will decide on the process as per the project requirements. So what the project requires, they will do that, and they will keep changing the process as per the feedback loop. Whatever feedback they need to refine this. Same thing. Different sets of people working in different groups. You need to understand one thing. As per Alistair Cookburn, there cannot be, even if it is an agile, there cannot be a common process across the teams. There are 10 different projects, 10 different agile projects running. 10 different agile projects should run in different processes as per the requirement of the project. So if somebody comes and tells you my organization has a standard agile practice, then it is wrong. It is not agile. Agile says process should be defined by the people working in the team as per the requirements of the project. So if somebody gives you a PPT in your office and it says, if somebody says, we have a standard agile process, you have to stand up and say that is wrong. You are following something, you are not following agile. Okay, so that is one. This is the second fundamental shift in attitude. So Edward Deming said, as this was going on, these theories all came about. A bad system will beat a good person every time. So whatever systems you develop, it will beat a good person. If you're a good developer, also the process is bad, you will get beaten. So these are primarily the new methodologies that evolved. First attitude was attitude towards planning, second was attitude towards people. So this shift was happening throughout the 90s, where predictive planning moved to adaptive planning, process first moved to people first. So this is what eventually led to something called Agile and whatever principles we have under Agile. All these software development methods, project management methods we use under Agile will basically follow this. It should be, it will try to be adaptive planning and people first. So that's how it evolves. So this is the essence of Agile. So as I said, in order to compensate semantic diffusion, which happens in all the teams, as we work, our processes get diluted. This needs to be reiterated again and again to the teams. So that completes the first, essence of Agile. So moving on, Agile as we know it now. So whatever we saw was how Agile came to, where it came to a point of 2001. They all throughout 1990s, all this Alistair Cookburn, Michael Brown. Can you have it toward the end of the session? If I have some more slides, I'll finish. We'll have a detailed discussion. So throughout 90s, all these people were considered to be out of the box. They were considered to be bit difficult to handle because they are coming up with all these philosophies. And if you stand up in your office and say, I don't want to follow a process, people should follow the process. I mean, people should decide on the process, probably your application will go next time. So it doesn't happen that way, but these people are considered to be out of the box, and they successfully did that. In 2001 at Gita, they had the first conference on Agile, where they discussed, and they finally officially coined the word Agile. And they called themselves an Agile Alliance, which is still going on. So they developed a development manifesto focusing on common themes in these alternative methods. So there are so many alternative methods available. It's not one. So many people are involved. So many methods are available. So they created a common manifesto, and then they called it Agile, and then Agile Alliance. So from there on, it evolved. Certifications came up. People started practicing in a structured way, and it moved forward from that. So these are some of the methods which are followed in extreme programming, Scrum, future-driven development, generally termed as lightweight processes. These processes are lightweight. If you want to know about Scrum, it will just be 5 or 6 pages, nothing more than that. So these are all lightweight. There is nothing to go. Basically, best practice. Question of best practice. So basically, these 4 things are the manifesto. Any Scrum methodology that you want to develop or which is already there should be based on this. And this Agile Alliance has left the Scrum methodologies open. So anybody is free to develop a new method. Scrum, XP and other things. If you feel there is a need or you have an approach, you can create your own methodology and you can name it. You can even name it after your own name. And then you can present it in this alliance. But only thing they say is it should follow this manifesto. It should incorporate all these things. Your process or your methodology that you define should incorporate all these values. So they have given this 4 pillars and 12 principles basically in Agile. So first one will be individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So as I said, this is what I said before, people first. So it doesn't say individual and interactions, not process and tools. It says over. So you need process, you need tools. But they are not the first focus. First focus is people, individuals and interactions. Individuals are including a customer and everybody. And interactions with them and the feedback loop that you follow, that is the primary thing. The second one will be working software over comprehensive documents. So this is also a major shift. So in Agile terms, in a traditional method, your progress is about delivery. First milestone probably will deliver plans, will deliver some R&D and QA plan and other things. But in Agile, you should be your progress is working software. If you say I've completed a milestone 1 or sprint 1, it means you've delivered as working software. It's not your plan will not be considered as a milestone. So working software is the primary measure of progress. Why do we do this? Why do we do this? We do this because customer, it adds value to the customer. Customer has an insight into what value he is getting. Instead of creating a milestone with plans and delivering him plans and QA and other documents and then closing the milestone, still no customer has not seen the product. Probably the product might not work for him. So you're already 15% into the project. He's not seeing anything. You just have some documents and those plans always keep changing. So basically there is no value for the plan. We keep changing the plan as we move on in the project. So Agile says working software over comprehensive documentation. Documentation is required, but it is required and it should be as it requires. You cannot just sign off documents and say milestone completed, milestone completed. Working software is the measure. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So Agile basically says you need to work closely with the customer. There are methods and there are practices in Agile which says how do you avoid conflict, frequent feedbacks to be taken from the customer, so that you don't just go on the final delivery date and show something in a demo and he says this is not what I want. What Agile says is frequent delivery. You deliver it every 2 weeks. You give a demo, he keeps coming back with changes. There is a process to accommodate that. So it keeps growing. So it's not a surprise for him. So that is what customer collaboration over contract negotiation. And responding to change over following a plan. And again, this is what we saw there. You need to respond adaptive planning. So Agile method basically says responding to change. So it welcomes change and it gives certain methods that basically says how do we manage change. So these are the people who are involved in creating this manifesto basically on Agile. These are the 12 principles. I'll just quickly run through this. These are standard principles. If you're taking any Agile certification, all these things will come there. These are nothing new. First one, early and continuous delivery of valuable software. So this is what I said, early and continuous delivery. So you need to deliver every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks as early as possible. Software should be delivered. That is the value. That is our motto. It's not about planning and other things. Harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. So as I showed you in the previous slide, Mary Poppendich said, change is a competitive advantage. So they have included that in the principles. So consider change as a competitive advantage for customer. How will it be a competitive advantage? Customer is developing a product, and these days, product keeps changing. Before customer comes out with the project, you can see the market, same product comes out. So customer needs to modify his product according to the new requirement. Very rarely you see a product gets released and new product comes. Simultaneously there are 4 or 5 products getting released every time. Whether it's your mobile phone, whether it's your video games or any kind of software. So you need to harness same for customers' competitive advantage. So you should be able to change the requirement in the middle as per the market advantage for it. So that's also taken care here. Deliver working software frequently. This is what I explained already. Then business people and developers must work together. So that is one mandatory thing in this in Agile. Normally it's not that they give the requirements and they come back to see the demo. In Agile, it requires for Agile to be successful, business people should work closely with the development team. Otherwise, Agile will not succeed because it requires constant feedback and the other things. So if you're not able to do that, it is better if you go for traditional method. If your business people or the customer is not able to engage with you regular basis, just go for Agile method. That is safe. If you're going for Agile, these are required to succeed. So building projects towards motivated individuals and trust them to get the job done. So this is people first. You need to trust them to create processes. Getting this motivated individual is a very tricky term. And it means you need to take care of the people. You cannot just put somebody a requirement of 8 plus requirement and you just put somebody in 4 plus to work on that. He will not be motivated or he will not be able to deliver what is required. So you need to create a motivated teams, motivated individuals, and trust them to get the job done. So Agile also says face-to-face conversation is better. That doesn't mean it's always face-to-face. There are methods in which you can work across locations, but Agile prefers, since you need this regular feedback mechanism, you need to interact with customers, you need to do everything. Face-to-face conversation is the ideal thing for Agile. It's possible. The same thing, working software is the measure of progress. Sustainable development. So you need to go into the metrics, which is and the development pace should be sustainable. It is not that suddenly we work 4 nights together, we develop something and we deploy. The pace should be sustainable, and the adaptive planning that you do, it should be sustainable for the team and for the customer to give you feedback. So suddenly you don't work for 1 week, it's slow, and then suddenly 1 week that's what normally happens. Towards the end of deployment, we work day and night, we deploy something. It should not be like that. The pace should be consistent. So continuous excellence to technical good design enhancement agility. So that's what I showed you in that slide. There are certain technical things that needs to be addressed in this. Simplicity. This is something interesting. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done, is essential. So this is different from normally what we do. Sorry.
This is the lane, right?
Yeah. Agile is a collection of all things, lean, everything. So you find you've taken all best things together and put it as a thing. So simplicity, it means you deliver plain vanilla. So if you're doing a first iteration, there is no need for you to do a design or an architecture for the 4th iteration. You just do what is required for the first iteration in a very, very plain and simple way. That's what it says. Don't complicate design. Just do what is required. Just deliver as a plain vanilla. Why do we do this? Because Agile inherently says we welcome change. So in case you're going to do a design, when you're designing, you're forecasting and seeing till 4th iteration, you're doing a design. Probably at 3rd iteration, your requirement can change. Right? Customer's market requirement might change. He will come back to you, and then whatever effort you put for that design has to be raised, and then you will be probably changing the design. So don't do all that. Just do simple design. For first iteration, I just need a login page. Just do a login page. That's all. Just deliver that. That's what it says. That's what's art of maximizing amount of work not done. So Don't do anything outside the iteration. Even if it requires in the second iteration, third iteration, you have to do it when it comes. So whenever the iteration comes, expand your design accordingly. So the best architecture requirements and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. So self-organizing teams, in the sense, self-organizing teams will not have any roles actually. They organize, basically if it is a self-organized team, there won't be any person specifically for QA, specifically for BA, specifically for development. It will not be like that. You will have a Scrum Master, you will have a group of people, you will have a task board, you will have different tasks. So today the QA task is 20, if the developer is free, he will take up the QA task and he will complete it. That is called self-organizing team. They will decide on who is having what is the workload, and they will cross-functional, and they will organize themselves. So nobody will say, "You're free today. You take this task. You're free tomorrow. Work is less today. Take this." So these are all highly motivated people. So we have to press them, and they are expected to be self-organized. Okay. So you should not get into a Scrum team and start directing them to take tasks, finish this, all these things. So at regular interval, team reflects on how to become efficient. So this is what feedback loop. Adaptive planning, every regular interval, you go back. When we see Scrum, I'll tell you how it happens. So you go back and see how the process is working, and you go back and refine the process further. So that is it. These are the 12-point principles on which Agile works, and these are the things that come under Agile now. Basically, Agile is a general term. These are the practices: Lean, Scrum, Kanban, extreme programming, Crystal, future-driven development, DSCM, dynamic system development methodology. And there are other three more. They're saying that total 11, but the remaining three, I think it got away because of semantic diffusion. We don't find those methods anymore. So I couldn't find even the names now. So it officially says there are 11 methods. 3 methods have completely disappeared. So we don't know what is that now. So this is what it's called semantic diffusion. Slowly it goes off. So out of all these methods, Scrum is something basically a project management methodology. To call it, if you ask me personally, I will say Scrum is a productivity management methodology. It's very lightweight. They call it project management officially, but personal opinion is it is a productivity management methodology. All others are software management methods. They're not project management methods. They're software management best practices. They put all this into under Agile. And once they defined this, till then everything was about software. So it was completely focused on software. How do we deliver value in the software? Once this was done, once Agile Alliance was formed, and they decided on this, they said all these things can be, all Scrum and other things can be used for any knowledge-based industry. It is where the shift happened from just being a software development method, project management method, to an ideal project management method happened once they after 2001. Basically, they said all this can be incorporated according to the requirements in any knowledge-based industry, where knowledge is the primary thing. And software knowledge is the primary thing. In the same way, there could be certain medical research and other things. Wherever knowledge is there and the physical infrastructure is not there. Obviously, if you're building a bridge from Coimbatore to here, you can't incorporate change every 2 weeks on the design. There needs to be a standard design. Even though there are the changes, but it cannot happen. So they decided these methods can be used on any knowledge-based industry, and slowly people are taking up outside software development. Also, these things are being used now. So this I'll just touch Scrum and give you some basic information on Agile. I mean on extreme programming, and then I'll move forward. So this is the basic overflow. Flow of Scrum. There are only 3 roles in Scrum. As I said, it's lightweight, product owner, Scrum Master, team member. Okay, product owner is responsible for the product backlog. He represents the customer, so he is responsible for the return on investment and priority of the task that needs to be done. He will maintain the backlog, and they will have a sprint planning along with the team, Scrum team, and then based on the priority of the product owner, they will take up the certain task. For the particular sprint, how many tasks can be used? So they will add it to the sprint backlog, and then finally sprint will happen. As sprint happens, there will be daily Scrum. So daily they will see what has been done, what will be completed tomorrow, and is there any improvements. And finally, once the sprint is over, there will be sprint review, in which they will be giving a demo to the customer after 2 weeks. And in sprint planning, there is one more thing they will do is they will decide on the definition of done with the customer. So if they take a task, what is done? It cannot be ambiguous. Definition of done should be clearly mentioned. So when they go to sprint review, they will discuss whether definition of done is met. So if it cannot be that you say I just need a login page and there is no requirement of any functional requirements like captcha, encryption of the URL, nothing is required. You just say definition of, I need a login page. You end up showing him demo, I need a login page. And then you say where is the captcha, where is the URL encryption? How can you call this complete? So here they define what is definition of done. So task one, what definition of done is, I need a login page with encryption with whatever is required. Now everything will be clearly defined. Finally, they go for a review. On the review, they will discuss that. Sometimes, if it is not done, it will go back to the product backlog. If it is done, then they will close the sprint. And once sprint is closed, they will have a retrospective. So at the end of every sprint, there is a retrospective. So retrospective basically is lessons learned, but only difference is it discusses what went well, what did not go well, and they will incorporate process changes in retrospective. That's what we saw, right? Adaptive planning. So that is what will happen in retrospective. If there are any changes to the process that needs to be done, probably that will be done in the retrospective. And they will discuss and agree. If they're okay with some changes, they will try to implement that in the next sprint. So changes keep happening. We can see here feedback loop happens. You need customer, it's regular interaction because he is going to customer or representative of the customer, product owner who is called. So he has to maintain the backlog. He has to prioritize it. You need to interact with him to get the sprint backlog based on the priority. And then here, product owner doesn't come. Scrum master and team will do this. Finally, we need him for retrospective. We need the customer for sprint review. Retrospective will happen with the team and the Scrum master. So you can see here, everything requires you need to collaborate with the customer continuously. That's what it says. So continuously, you need to collaborate. Feedback loops keeps happening. So when this happens, there is the possibility of certain surprises will be less because every 2 weeks you're deploying. He sees things how it is progressing, the changes he's giving. So you're constantly communicating. So things would be okay. So there are certain charts which you'll see in the following slides. Burn down chart, which is basically to check productivity. This is the task board which they use in daily Scrum called to do in progress done. So they will either take a task and put it in to do or waiting. Basically, this tool, basically kind of a Kanban tool which will be used. So I'll just go to the next slide and then stop for a few minutes. Maybe I can take questions because a lot of information is going on. This is the software XP, Extreme Programming Software Development Methodology. Basically, this is again the same. Everything is done in iteration. Here, only one difference is the architecture. There is something called architectural sprint. So they do this before going into the iteration planning to see whether they see any risk in the project or any risk in the architecture, any solution that is complex. They will try to do a mock-up of that and see how it works. And then after that, they will go into the iteration. And XC programming happens in pairs. Two people work together. One will be driver, one will be a conductor. One person will be coding, one person will be sitting along with them and giving high-level directions. So they will keep changing this director and conductor role. So they do it in pairs and probably deploy incremental softwares. So some features of XPR, the code is open. Both will have access to the code. So if one person is missing something, other person can say, can look into that and give us feedback. Coding standard will be standard. This is also test-driven development. They first write the testing and then go for the development. So there are some more things, but I'm just touching on extreme programming. I don't want to go deep into this. Any questions still down? Because I just want to stop for a few minutes. We'll move to Agile method.
Basically, what they are saying before the requirement and how we handle this is the acceptance criteria. What they are actually defining there is the acceptance criteria. Previous slides you said
Scrum, in Scrum you are saying.
For each and every requirement, when you actually say that it's been complete, that's as per the acceptance criteria.
No, that is the difference. Acceptance criteria is what we use. The term you use it, it's all same.
Actually,
the term you use in traditional method. Term we use in traditional method is acceptance criteria. Term we use in Scrum and especially in Scrum is definition of done. This is a standard term. It's not something which I use. The Scrum manual, if you see, you will find it called definition of done. So you're supposed to, in sprint planning, you are supposed to define what is definition of done. And in the sprint review, you need to, based on the definition, the review will happen. And either they agree.
What we used to do is for a particular sprint team, according to the Scrum, according to the team members, also in conjunction with the product owner, we will decide what is actually definition of that.
Yeah, that is
What is actually going to be done, and what are things is being considered as a checklist before you actually move a particular code to a incremental code.
See, this is what is called a semantic diffusion. Okay. The standard agile practice says you don't do this before moving the code. You do it because where you're working, as they have followed agile, that's what I said in the beginning. Probably you came in late, I think. Something called semantic diffusion. People follow agile, follow agile, it slowly gets diluted. And my first slide was based on that. That's where I started. So when you go back, if you bring all those 11 people who defined agile manifesto and take you to any organization which is going through this, they'll say this is not agile. Okay, agile says you cannot do that in middle when coding is happening. You can do it only on the sprint review. When do you test it? I mean, when you check the definition of done is complete, you do it only in the review. Okay. So I understand, when we work, a lot of things get diluted, but that's what is semantic diffusion.
I think definition of done is at the task level, but once you go at the end of the sprint, you are having a review where you are accepting all the items which are supposed to be delivered. That is accepted by the customer, then it goes to the product, the delivered one. So maybe the definition of them at the task level you are defining. Because what could be the criteria for a task to be completed? And at the end of a sprint, you are having a review where the customer and everyone is getting together to see that it's all the expected task is completed as required.
So this is where I understand. This is where the fundamental shift between traditional demos or traditional project management and Scrum. Traditional project management, I will see a milestone, I'll check the complete milestone, and then either I will accept it or I will return it back with bugs. Agile is not, Scrum basically is not like that. You can have 10 tasks. For one task, the definition of done could not have been met. Still, you can put that one task back to the product backlog, move it with the 9 tasks. So it's not that signing off all the 10 tasks which is agreed. It doesn't happen in Scrum. So there are possibilities definition of done is not met. The customer could have a valid point. You just say incomplete, either move it to the product backlog, go ahead with the 9, deploy it, and move. So there is no complete acceptance, is not there. That is the agility of Scrum. That is what is the difference. You don't send all the 10 tasks to the back to the team and say you've not completed everything. Finish and then come back to me. Again, I will test everything. Doesn't happen. So what is not, team will agree what is not done. They will move to the product backlog. 9 which is agreed will be moved. That's it. Right. That is the fundamental shift. Okay. So I'll move on. Other questions. I just want to give you a break. That's why you picked up questions. So finally, maybe at the end you will answer. So agile metrics. So when we come to metrics, there is a fundamental shift. Again, as I said in the beginning, the traditional metrics is basically measurement of variance. Plan how your project status is. What is the variance from the plan? If you said I will complete 10 tasks in 1 month, and if your variance is 5%, it means you're behind schedule or you're above cost. But the problem with agile is variance. Variance is agile. You want changes to come in, you want requirements to change. So variance is agile. So when you come to agile projects or agile methodologies, there is no way you can track variance or it will not add any value. This is also a profound shift on this. So traditional methods, your project status will possibly show variance, and you move the project to red based on the variance. But in agile method itself is variance. We have agile methods to deal with variance. So we want more changes to come into the product so that we can deliver value to the customer. So basically, traditional methods: percentage complete, line of code, earned value, effort expended, number of test cases written, executed, etc., according to the plan. You check. Agile values are empirical. Items are measured. So as I said, there is nothing called incomplete. There is nothing called 60% complete, 70% complete. Definition of done is met, it is completed. Definition of done is not met, it is sent back to the project backlog. So there is nothing in between, in the middle. So team understand. So when you go with agile projects, the metrics, as I said, processes could be different for different teams. Metrics can also be different for different teams. So the team needs to understand what is being measured in the project. So they do that in the beginning. So what will be measured in the project? Not necessarily every team will have the same metrics. depending on the project, depending on the team composition, experience of the team, metrics could vary. That's what I say. It says team understands and accepts what is being measured. Agile metrics are used to deliver better software. So Agile metrics are not for, that is again a difference. Agile metrics are not for project status. This is again a profound difference. Your traditional method, your metrics are for project status. To move a project to red and then go to green plan. Agile metrics is used for delivering better software. Metrics are using just to deliver better software. Agile metrics are not the end, they are beginning of a discussion or a decision. So based on the metrics, you will have more discussion in the retrospective, try to improve things and try to deliver better software. So even then, you can still produce a normal project management software and use it as a leading indicator. So based on that, you can take some decisions, but it is not mandatory. So basically, Agile delivers value on every sprint. You see, it doesn't happen at the end. Every 2 weeks, we deliver something, customer pays. So customer needs value for these dollars. This is what we do here. So we need to either a metric should focus on these short-term deliveries and other things. So basically, most commonly used, you can call it metrics chart or productivity chart, and I call it productivity chart, but burn down, burn up chart. So basically, burn down chart and burn up chart is for the same project. I've pasted here. The burn down chart appears that the team did not accomplish much in the middle of the project historically. So burn down chart will show you how much is there to be remaining to be completed. These are all story points. Story points is how your requirement is estimated. So basically, in Agile, stop here and tell you what is story point. Story point is, normally in estimations we do in hearts, in a traditional method. In Agile, they do it in story points. So there are certain techniques, when you do Agile certifications, you will know there are certain estimation techniques available. Along with the team, you develop the story points for each task or each thing. Story points are generally given in Fibonacci series, 1, 3, 5, in the Fibonacci series order. And when you plot it, so generally how do they measure for a 2-week sprint? If they select 10 tasks and add all the story points, 72 comes. So 72 story points needs to be completed for this sprint. So that is these are story points, these are dates. And burn down chart basically tells you how much is yet to be completed. So from the plan. So at the beginning, I'm on the first sprint, possibly I'm supposed to complete 10 story points. Slowly reduces. So based on the date, you will know where you're standing. Okay. So one drawback here is Agile is about variance. Agile is about scope change. There is no way to identify scope change. Probably you would not have progressed further. You would be standing in the same line because there is a change in requirement in the next sprint. The customer would have changed the requirement 4 times. Same requirement would have changed in the last 4 sprints. You will keep on working on the same functionality or something more. It doesn't show that. So you will feel that it is not progressing. So in the burn up chart, you will see both. Completed scope. So this is the scope, and you can see it shows how scope is varying. Started with 10, and probably the next sprint customer changed something, and we estimated it. Your story points increase, decrease based on that, and this is your progress. So when you compare both these lines, you will see when requirements go down, your delivery point is high. So when requirements when there is a change and requirements increases, the delivery is low. So you can find this out in burn up chart. So that's the primary difference. In the burn down, just shows what is yet to be completed, and here it shows. You can see it in relation to scope, so that you can take decision. Based
in burn down chart, even we can have a scope line.
Can have it. It's all. That's what I said. You can even agree on anything with your team and do it. It doesn't say this is how. I'm just trying to give you. This is what it is. You can do it everything in a single chart. It's okay. Everything you can put to be completed, everything to be done. But that needs to be agreed with your team. That's what I said. Metrics should be agreed with your team because you're going to paste it in the boards. Agile metrics are not going to be the project manager's Excel sheet or Microsoft project. It is going to be the board. It is going to be transparent. So everybody should understand it. So metrics needs to be agreed by the team. So if a team is okay, everything to be shown in the same graph, we can do that. Okay. This is mentioned as date. You can put it in iteration month. Basically, it happens in iteration, right? You can put iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, or for a single iteration, you can put dates and do it. So it is just about how you want to try.
No, but within iteration, we are not supposed to do the scope change, correct? When you start the sprint, if anything.
No, if you're going to put it for iteration, your scope will be safe. That's all. It will be there like this. So If you're going to put in days, it will be straight. Iteration, it might change. So this is just an example. Can be modified as you wish. So this is primarily this is the primary chart value. This is velocity chart. Velocity, it's very basic. Sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4. Component, what was taken to the backlog, what's supposed to be completed, what is completed. So that is what we chart here. Sprint 1, this is what components that was agreed is 40, what was completed was 37. So the 3 could be, it did not meet definition of done, or for some other reason they moved it to product backlog. So it could be any of the reason, or team could not finish it on time. So it could be any of these things. Sprint will never get extended. If the team doesn't finish also, it will go back to the backlog. So why do we need this velocity chart? We need this velocity chart to plan the following iteration. That's all. Basically, you'll get a sense of average of how much the team is able to produce and how much the team is able to complete. When you cross 4 or 5 iterations, you get a sense of the team's velocity. This is the standard of the team. How much they are able to deliver. So based on that, you can do your following plans for the iterations. So first one we saw completion in terms of scope and velocity. These are the very basic minimum requirements which are used in Scrum. So they don't do any other EV other things. And but we can do it. So there are certain other graphs. This is called the S-curve graph, which we can use to calculate earned value monitoring, which we normally do in traditional method. And earned value, as I said, will not be used in the same way as we use in traditional method. It is just an indicator here. We don't report. If earned value is bad, then we don't report project isn't ready here. So this blue line is scope, and this is what is spent. So what they have done is they have put the scope in story points here. They have put the estimated cost, whatever cost is happening, and they have put the functionalities here. So you can track based on that, scope agreed and spent. So how the graph is moving on that you can further you can elaborate on this, and then you can add projected progress and scope build, projected spend and spend. Based on that, you can get plan value, earned value, cost variance, schedule variance, and you can calculate SP and CP. So it will be done in a graph, and these will be pasted basically. And this normally nobody does it on any Agile project. I don't think so. This is done, but this can be done. I'm just giving an example. So just to use this values as an indicator. Okay. So in metrics, basic difference is Agile metrics are not to show project is red, blue, green. Agile metrics are to improve the delivery of software. Okay. So that is the major difference, and very basic metrics are used.
But this may be at a release level. Is it at a sprint level or at a release?
Again, it depends on how you want to. That's what you want to measure. It could be both. No, that's what you agreed. What the team wants to measure. That is what will be measured. Yeah. How do you want to see?
Okay. So what I understand is here the release level is more appropriate than the sprint level. Yeah. Because you need to have some kind of a baseline, and against which you can able to measure. If the baseline is not fixed, because here it is evolving. The sprint, the number of product backlog is basically the default. And the feature level, you know that is how much is required you want to deliver it. And unless until product backlog is not the baseline, you cannot have the earned. So you need to find at what level you want to have the earned value to be. Okay, so if the earned value, the baseline is not fixed, you cannot have the earned value.
No, that's what I said. The earned value is not required in an Agile project.
Yes.
As for Agile, this is just a leading indicator. The word I use is leading indicator. Leading indicator is from this data, if you're able to infer something, you can do better planning. That's all. Earned value will not be used to move the project to red. Like I mentioned it. It's not what we do in traditional methods. Earned value is less. I move it to then green. It's not like that. If team agrees, we will use earned value data to do better planning. You can do it. That's all. Okay. Just an S-curve, and I'm just giving you an intro. How do you want to use it? You want to use it? It's up to you. Just need to see how the velocity and burn up, burn down. That should be enough. Then it's okay. Okay. So this completes Agile metrics. So so far we have seen essentials of Agile as we know it, and then what are these things that are covered in Agile, and then now Agile metrics. So there is something called Agile fluency. So guide to success with Agile. So this is something a new area that is emerging. So as as organizations take up Agile, how do you know Agile is working in an organization or as a team? You just cannot get up one day and say, I'm going to have sprint from next week. I'll change all the milestone 1, milestone 2 to sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3. And then I'll call it Agile. I'll have a stand-up call tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, we'll have having stand-up call. And every 2 weeks, we'll have a sprint review. So are we into Agile? Does it work that way? In a lot of seminars, a lot of conferences, you see a lot of conflict. Even in the KSS session, one before the last. So one person said, I was trying to implement Agile. I was fighting with my management. They didn't agree because there was no return on investment. So how do you say you're implementing Agile? Now, how do you implement it? You cannot get up one day and say, I'm implementing Agile. The Agile, as I said, it's a profound shift. There is a method, there is a structure to do that. So Diana Larson and James Shore, they have been working on Agile field for almost 20, from the beginning, from 90s, 80s onwards. So they are the people who moved into Agile. They have created something called Agile fluency, and they have a copyright for this term so that nobody misuses it. And we can use they have created a chart which says how the team progresses through Agile, an organization or a team. So they've only mentioned team because Agiles are basically for teams. So how do you progress? So they mentioned this chart is also copyrighted by them. You can see here. So we can use it only if we mention the copyright. So I'm just mentioning the copyright and using their slide. So basically, this starts. They rate the organization's Agile levels with stars. First is 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star. So it doesn't. The team or organization doesn't progress from 1 star to 2 star, 2 star to 3 star, and 3 star to 4 star. Or the team has to decide at which level they want to be. So suppose I have a team and I want to move to Agile. I have a company or a team. I have to decide which level I want to be. So I decide my company needs to work at a 3-star level. So I have to start from there. And progress will happen like this only. But you cannot start from 1 star, finish 1 star, move to 2 star, finish 2 star and move to 3 star. So we'll see what these stars are. First is basic starting building code. The first shift that has to happen for Agile is team culture shift. That's what they're saying. That is where the primary thing is there. You do everything, team culture is not shifting, your Agile will not work. First thing is team culture. Team culture in the sense you're supposed to be cross-functional, you're supposed to deliver in 2 weeks. You cannot just sit back and work on last 1 week of a delivery and then do some coding and give it to the team. So a lot of things are changing in this primary attitude, taking ownership of things. You cannot say project manager will do, or if customer finds the bug, we will resolve it. Otherwise, it goes through the deployment. So we cannot do that. So basically, first is team culture shift, focus on value. So team culture shifts towards focus on value, see progress from business perspective, redirect teams when needed. So that's what team culture has to see progress from business perspective because we are delivering value to the business. So progress cannot be I just finished the code, I've just deployed it, my job is over, I'm sitting back. It cannot be the progress. Progress should be what value you are delivering to the business. So if an organization works at this level, it is called 1 star. So they are at a 1 star in Agile practice. So if they move to the second is deliver value. First, we have focus on value. Team is going to focus on value. Second is deliver value. Team skill shift. So here we have to work on skills. It's not only culture, then you need to have skills. Right? Team members should have skill. You cannot just dump in and say, I'm a developer, I've been developing for 10 years, you're asking me to do QA. His ego will get hurt. Right? So team skills need to be developed. So ship on market conditions, capture value frequently, reveal abstractions early. So these are all skill related things. So a team should work on that. So if they are operating at this level, it will be 2 star. And then moving further on that, organizational structure shift. So these are bigger shifts. Make excellent product decision, eliminate handoffs, speed decision making. So if the team operates at this, it will be 3 star. And finally, organizational culture shift. So whole organizational culture has to change. Optimize for systems, cross-pollinating, stimulating innovation. Nobody's at 4 star, so I'm not going into that much. People are either at 1, 2, 3. So basically what they say is if you're a bigger organization, you should operate at 2 star level. If you're medium to small size organization, you can operate at 3 star level. That's what they say. It's very difficult for a bigger organization to operate at 3 star as per their experience.
So something like CMMI.
It is evolving at that level. It has not reached that level. They have a process of licensing people. So if you go and search online, Agile Fluency, you will get these names. You can mail them. There is a process of who will give these stars, who will evaluate what level is it, who will say what level the company should be. Somebody has to be expert in that, right? I cannot walk into, I'm working with a way, I cannot go to IBM and say, IBM needs to work at 2-star level. So you need some methods. So they're giving license for that. The person who can do that. So that is, you can check online. There is mail ID available. So you mail them, they'll give you the details. And I'm not sure about fees and other things.
Is it like OPM 3? Organizational?
Could be, yes. But this is evolving. That's what I said. Now they have come to the level of licensing people to do this. So CMO level 5 has been there for longer time. It must be much more structured. This is just evolving now. Going forward, I think this will take care because everybody says I'm following Agile. So where are you? What is the level? What is the agility you are having? How do you say you are at 2-star? How do you say you are at 1-star? So this is how it is. And all this, all this shift will need some investment. Basically, we see this is. I'll just go through this fast. 1-star benefit will be greater visibility into teams' work and ability to redirect. Investment is team development and work process design. Core metrics, it's fine. Time to achieve 1-star will be 2 to 6 months. So if a team works properly, the 1-star level, like focus on value, can be achieved in 2 to 6 months. Achievement rate till now, out of all the companies that are following Agile, as per the metrics provided by them at Agile, 45% of teams have achieved this level. Focus on value.
Just one question. See, when there is a customer and a service provider, the organization is referring to the customer organization and the service provider. Okay. Whose culture we are trying to change? As a service provider,
Who is implementing Agile? Who is implementing Agile?
Yeah, Agile is mostly the combination of, you said the product owner will be from the customer organization.
That is fine. Who is implementing Agile?
Customer.
Customer is implementing Agile.
Service provider.
That is the question. Who is implementing Agile? He should be evaluated. That's all.
Yeah, but why? It's only a project team who's implementing it, and the entire organization is not implementing it. So I'm talking about the second half, the organization culture.
Primary principle you saw is business should work closely with the product team. That is one of the principles. Agile will not happen. See, if I have a team of 10 members, I sit inside IBM and I say I'm going to conduct Agile, I will fail miserably. It cannot happen like that. Teams can have their own processes, but Agile things should happen. That's what you should go step by step. It cannot happen right away. That's what they given said. The first team, as an individual, you should be directed to focus on value. It should not be that I finish the code, I deploy it, I walk out. It should be what value you are delivering to users. Second, team skill. You need skill to do that. You cannot just.
I'm okay with that. See, as far as when you're talking about the project team and I'm working with the customer.
No, it's evolving. Just
when I come to an organization as a service provider, okay, I'm
See,
implementing a project. I may not be doing only agile projects. I may be working on other models also.
Okay, can I have
How is it?
No, 1 minute. See, it's not about project. If you're implementing Agile, suppose if next company is implementing Agile, you go to a customer, you do a pre-sales pitch, right? We deliver Agile. You see that customer wants Agile. I mean, that's what he is looking into. So you go ahead and pitch to him. How do you pitch? What will you tell the customer? I'm doing Agile for last 4 years. So what is your level of agility? How do you measure that? You go and pitch. You come and pitch to me for a project. I know I need Agile, or you see your strength is Agile. You want to pitch it to me. How will you measure? You will say I will also say I am doing Agile. Other 10 companies will say they are doing Agile. Right? How do you measure it? That's what I said. Agile cannot happen in a day. You cannot stand up one day.
throw more like that. Yeah. Even the CMMI maturity benchmarking happens that way. They will be picking few projects in an organization. They will be mapping that organization at some maturity level based on their auditing on those projects. The same may apply here.
We'll discuss further again. So just look at the numbers. Basically, what we need to understand everything as an investment. So if you're going to 2-star, lower productivity during technical skills. So when skill development happens, probably it takes time for them to accommodate. Benefit is low defects. Only 35. It takes 3 to 24 months based on your team to develop skills at that level. So 35% of the agile teams have reached this level. 3-star is higher value of deliveries and better product decisions. Team product social impact. To expand on incorporating business experts into teams. So if you have to do this, then business experts have to come down and work with you. So it all has impacts. People have to work with others. So only it takes 1 to 5 years to reach this level, and then only 5% of the organizations still now have reached this level. 4-star, nobody has reached till now. Very few they are saying, but we don't know who have reached. There's no numbers for that. It's very people still know. So this is how Agile is measured nowadays. You cannot just walk a company or a team or anybody cannot just get up and say tomorrow I'm Agile. My team is Agile. We are delivering Agile. You will fail. That is one thing, but you cannot even sell that like that. You have to sell it with some information, some kind of expertise. What have you done? So this is, as I said, it's evolving. You can browse through this. They started giving license for people who can give these stars. So probably if you're interested, you can try that also. That seems to be an interesting. Okay. So this completes Agile fluency. Moving on, next one, Agile or traditional approach for your project. So what is better for your project? Agile or traditional approach? So we have seen Agile. What is the essence of Agile? What is Agile? How is metrics different from Agile and traditional? Agile fluency, I just added it for your information so that it is new. So Agile or traditional approach to your project. So I have a project. So what is the, there is one more fundamental shift, do you want to use Agile or do you want to use traditional method for a project? If you have an option, you need to look, in a traditional method, your requirements, as I said in the beginning, requirements are the constraint, your cost and schedule are estimates. So you are supposed to have your requirements stable and your cost and estimate will keep changing because you're just estimating it. So on a traditional project, the requirements are supposed to be stable and your cost and time schedule keeps changing. That is what happens in a traditional project. When you go to an Agile, it happens the reverse. Your cost and schedule are constant and your features keep changing. Got it? This is the profound shift. Understood, right? Sorry? See, you don't know what, that is what you don't know how what you're going to deliver. That is why features are not constant. But you know you are going to deliver only in 2 weeks. You are not going to take up anything that goes above 2 weeks. Customer can change the requirement. You will say, if it's lesser priority, move that down, give me something which is higher priority. See, suppose you're starting a sprint, customer says 10 as per my priority, this 10 tasks needs to be done. And you have done some estimation before, story points are there. So your velocity is at 72, suppose. Customer's requirement is that the task that he gives, total story points comes to 82. You will just say, I can only do 72 because 2 weeks you have to deliver. So based on your priority, realign the task. That's all. You will not take everything easy.
That is for that too.
Sorry?
That is for that too.
Yeah.
The whole week of our whole project, what do we estimate?
Which one you are going to do?
You're talking about the whole project, right?
Hmm.
You know, the additional, I give the estimation for the whole project. Here, when you say out of 82 or 72, I can deliver, that is for those 2 weeks. So the whole project, when I take estimation, I cannot take.
You will not do the estimation for that. Is what I said. In Agile metrics, team will not be doing estimation for the whole project. The return of investment or the cost is the product owner's headache. Product owner will have a product backlog. He will have a budget.
How do I do the estimation from the project?
As a team, you will not be doing estimation on cost.
So how do I do the bidding?
Sorry?
How do I do the bidding?
Bidding in a sense?
I'm going to a vendor software company and do the project.
So there is separate topic called Agile contracts. Okay, these are not traditional contracts. Agile contracts, I have not added that here because you don't have time. So there are different types of contracts available in Agile. If you want something interesting, I'll tell you. There is one contract called money for nothing. You don't do work, customer will still pay if you're going by that contract. There is a reason for that. So I will explain it maybe at the end or once the session is over, we can discuss it. So there are contracts which are available which are different from traditional methods. Based on that one, you'll move forward. Okay, but that doesn't cover in the scope. Maybe we can have an offline discussion.
Traditionally, T&M fixed for.
Yeah, that is fine. That's what common. This fixed doesn't fit for Agile. If you go for T&M, it fits for Agile. So Agile, as I said, cost and schedule are constant. Customer can keep changing his priorities according to his funding, according to his priorities. So we will just say 2 weeks. This is what we can deliver. We will agree and we will deliver. How many 2 weeks he wants? It depends on his funding. He can stop it in the middle. If he sees his product doesn't have value, he will stop it in 2 sprints. Or if he sees he needs more development, he can go for 15 sprints or 20, 100 sprints. They're not bothered. We just say what is it. That's what I said, plain vanilla. 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. That's what is our concept. Okay, so when you're going to select Agile or traditional method, you need to look where it fits, what the requirement that you're having. whether is the requirement stable. If it is standard requirement is going to be stable. Customer is not going to come back until we finish the project. Go for traditional method. Customer is ready, willing to work with you on a day-to-day basis. Customer representative is there. They have changing requirements. You don't know. They're just starting and they're observing the market. They want to see how others are developing so that they can incorporate that. In that case, you can go for traditional. Agile. First, adaptive predictive.
In traditional one, we know what based on the schedule, this is the resourcing I'm going to have over the project period. But in Agile, how do we, and normally how it happens, like because putting a team for 2 weeks and then customer after 2 sprints, if he stops, we'll have to dismantle the whole team, or how does it normally work in the terms of resourcing?
That is something for this. I'll explain at the end. We'll finish the slides when we do a Q&A. I'll explain. Because if we get into that, I will not be able to finish. That is a concept for that. Okay. So these are basic difference. About developers. If you decide to do Agile, they should be very skilled, motivated senior developers. You cannot do Agile with substandard developers or developers who have less experience, because it requires a level of motivation, level of ownership. So you just cannot put somebody at 2+, inform the client. That's what normally happens. He's having 6 years experience, send him for interview, and then when development is happening, you put somebody in 2+, 3+, and work. So if you're doing waterfall, it still can be okay. Mainly junior developers can work on waterfall because everything requirement is stable. Nothing is going to change in the middle. There is some escalation coming in the end. Project manager will deal with it. About QA with technical background, able to read code and write automation tests. So QA needs to have technical. He just should not be an QA who just test the UI. He needs to have technical code. If required, he should be able to code also. So that is the QA required. QA is used to black box testing or over UI. Normally in traditional method, they just do UI testing or black box testing. Other things. About the customer, able to engage with the project and participate in day-to-day development. A remote customer is not willing to engage with development, only interested in final product. So remote customer just show me the demo. Finally, I've given you the requirements. We go for traditional for that. About management, empowerment style, controlling style. So Agile, you need to empower people. You cannot just micromanage them every day. You need to give them. So about the project, focus on time to market and creating killer applications. So basically, for high niche applications, you can use Agile. Focus on market and killer applications. For example, you're coming out with a mobile phone. You're launching a mobile phone. iPhone is launching a mobile phone. It is a killer. It needs to set standard, right? You just cannot. iPhone cannot just launch a phone. I just dial phone works. Doesn't happen with iPhone. iPhone works at a different level. They set standards. So those type of things you have to use Agile. Focus on deadlines and contracts. It's basic project. Focus on deadlines and contracts. You can use.
How is the role of project manager different between these two?
See, basically in Agile, in the formal document, there is no role of project manager. But we have project managers when we work. In Agile, it doesn't specify anywhere. Even if you do any certification, you will never see a term as project manager. Scrum Master is not a project manager. Scrum Master is a role. So there is no hierarchy in Agile.
So PLP is invalid.
I will not talk about PLP. We should not do that. See, nothing is invalid. That's what I said. What is suitable for a project? If you can operate at that level without roles, Scrum Master, team member, product owner, all are equal. Actually, there is no hierarchy. Scrum Master has some responsibilities, he will do that. Team member has to take the task, complete, he will do that. Product owner has a task, nobody is above or less anybody. So if you can operate at that level, it requires a lot of maturity, lot of team culture change. If you can operate at that level, you can go for Agile. If you cannot operate at that level, go for traditional. So what is good, what is bad is both the people you are having.
In my opinion, this only people company they are developing their own product and the service type very difficult because what comes to us, time and schedule is fixed, time and cost is fixed. So we cannot implement Agile for the some others because that depends on contract and deadlines.
See, I will tell you one thing. It's not about possible, not possible. What is best for you? See it in a different mindset.
That's theory.
Not theory. That is how you need to. That is what I'm going to say.
So, for example, IBM got a contract, 1 year contract for so many millions. So cost and schedule fixed. That is the question of Agile.
See, IBM got a contract.
For example, I'm saying IBM. Okay, over 20. IBM enters the contract with X company for a year, 1 million. Example, cost is fixed, schedule is fixed.
So it's fixed price. Go for
But scope is
traditional.
not fixed as per the Agile.
No. Cost is fixed. Schedule is fixed.
So is that done? Yes, you can. Not
That's
say
why again you're missing one point here. Now, when you have it, cost is fixed, schedule is fixed, scope is not fixed. You can keep changing the scope until if you got
no, Agile says scope is not as per the triangle. No, you cannot change one without taking customers.
it's not like that. That's what I explained here. Scope, see if your budget is $200,000, you can keep changing with the same scope again and again and finish $200,000. That is up to the product owner. I'm not concerned. You give me a task list for every 2 weeks. That's what Agile says. You do not bother about that. As a team, it's not your concern. Product owner has to look at the return on investment. To the $200,000, what is his priorities? His backlog should say, this is my priority, this is my priority. He sees $100,000 funding can be easy, next $100,000 funding will be difficult. So you will put all the important things in the first $100,000, and from that you will take something for 2 weeks and you will work. For you, that 2 weeks, what you're getting is next 2 weeks, he is going to change the same requirement next 2 weeks, you will keep working on that again and again.
I completely agree with that. Not disputing that Agile strategy. This will work if you are developing your own product. When there's a contract between X and Y is trying to implement Agile on the X. Theoretically,
You cannot implement, that's what I say. Agile has to happen together. Again, you cannot implement anything. There is no command.
know the reality, what is happening. For example,
The reality, if you want to ask me, my slides will show that. You have to decide what works for the project. That is reality. Agile are extremely successfully working.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that.
So
I want
waterfall
to
is still working.
For example, IBM as an IBM.
Okay.
How many projects you have taken Agile for X customer? Outside you have taken.
IBM story, I'll tell you again. I'll finish this, I'll come back.
I will just share. I'm also from the IBM. It's from the previous side. I'm from the infrastructure.
I'm also there.
Infrastructure. Yes.
I'm also there.
So infrastructure, whenever we go with the customer, so for each project, we are having some kind of a contract. And contract with the customer, and we at that point of time we are delivering it.
It's a time is up. I'll just finish this slide, then we'll start this. You finish, then we'll start. It will be open.
Yeah, sure.
So these are the factors which you will see. What design and what you're going to use. So basically, so we have seen Agile metrics and other things. What is suitable for your project. So something new is happening now. As people are fighting, as we are discussing, Agile should we go? It is not possible to have Agile. Some people say waterfall is bad. As discussion is going on these lines, as earlier in this chapter for Agile, now there are people who are moving away from all this and using hybrid project management approach. It is evolving. Which is called hybrid project management approach, which basically is use of good things of waterfall plus whatever is in Agile. Both can be used together. So why do we use Agile in waterfall? Better control of budget and schedule, improved quality of delivered products, better risk management, speed, provide more opportunities for customer, quick response to change. So this slide that I'm going to show, this was presented at 2013 at Geneva by Max Key. So he is the person who is seriously working on this hybrid method. So the main challenge in applying Agile in waterfall projects are defined by exactly the project to do and how deep and make it timely. So that is the basic difficulty. So we saw how we on which scenarios we implement Agile, which scenarios we implement waterfall. So how do we combine both? So he gives an example this way. Maxi gives an example. If there is a bigger project, bigger product that you are developing, there will be various sections in the product. Not necessarily everything will be same. Development will happen separately for separate sections. So considering there are 1, 2, 3, 4, and they have their subtasks and other things. So you have to assess if your 2 and 3 of your product would be suitable for Agile. Maybe 1 and 2 are much more common features, like login page and other things. As you go on, 3 and 4 could be something to do with analytics, something to do with deleting data, data scrapping, big data, other things. So you need to decide which goes into Agile based on what we saw before. So 1 and 2 you can develop in traditional method. 3 and 4 of the project you can develop in Agile method. So 3 and 4 you develop a sprint backlog product and release 1, release 2. You can prioritize as we do in Agile. Same thing will happen here. So 3 and 4. And how this will combine? Start 3 and 4 will happen in Agile sprint process, and 1 and 2 will happen in normal traditional waterfall method, and finally it will end. So what happened? Joint iteration planning, Scrum of Scrum, joint sprint demos, joint retrospective, all these things will happen with the teams together. So this is what is the approach which is emerging now, moving from Agile. So as we are still discussing on Agile, there are people who have moved forward from there. So that's what one company which we can say which is using hybrid method now is Mozilla, the Firefox that we're using. So they have used it and they are going ahead and talking about this more. Mozilla has also began using hybrid model that incorporates element of both waterfall and Agile approaches for this for its flagship Firefox web browser. The goal is to make more quickly introduce new features aided by Agile's emphasis on iterative release. So this is what Mozilla's director says, Mike Wilson. So this is what we all should also do. Really, we are not tied to any specific development model. We are tied to what is effective. So as a project manager, we have to take all these tools, all these methods, and we need to find a way what is effective for the project, what delivers value for the project and for our personal career success. That's what we need to do. Never get into a discussion saying that waterfall will not work, Agile will not work. Agile cannot be suitable for this project, or waterfall might not be suitable for this project. But it's never that Agile doesn't work or waterfall doesn't work. All these things have been working all through, all these things have been failing also, the various factors for that. I will conclude with this slide, what Bush said, be water my friend. So just go and fill the vessel that is given to you. So just be a water. So don't stick to any of these. Don't get. I have seen people discussing, debating, emotionally getting attached to waterfall, emotionally getting attached to Agile. This certification I've done, I will go this way. It's all same for us. We are project managers. We want to be successful. We want project to be successful. Learn everything. If possible, if you're able to define new processes, you'll get much better success as people have done. Hybrid method, you'll get much more success. Or learn everything. See what is good for the project. Move forward with it. Don't get stuck with anything. Just be water. So that brings to the end of my slides. You can open up for questions. So again, I stop a lot of people. Sir, you're saying something.
So I was just trying to answer is what kind of a contract you are going with the contract. Initially, I'm just sharing the experience of one of the networks which I have had. For each project, we go with the negotiation with the customer. What kind of a contract you will be going with? Okay. Wherever they want, all the projects will be suitable for their they have senior mentioned. And particularly in the infrastructure, there are a lot of unknowns out there. Those are the areas which we go for the design. And where, in fact, the customer itself is not knowing the full the requirement, what actually, and it is evolving. And that is for those projects which we identify. We ask them, okay, this is better suited for the design, and we will go for the kind of thing. Okay. So in the beginning, you are actually deciding, okay, whether this project will go for the traditional project will go with the waterfall method, and the project is very, very complex. You are going for the first time, okay, you don't know the complete requirement, but you know the features what required you, what kind of a release you are expecting. For those cases, but a lot of unknowns are there, those projects better qualify for their right, and you go for the annual material contract in the R&D projects will be more. Yes, you are right.
And as you said, in case we are having a vendor in the project, that is a drawback in it. You cannot work with the vendor.
Rather, it's not management doesn't come as a project program manager. They get a budget time, implement Agile.
But that's what they do. That's what I said. That cannot happen. So it puts a lot of pressure on everybody. People who are working finally for the management also because it fails. It will fail. It cannot work like that. Agile requires a cultural shift, skill level shift. Lot of things are required. So lot of things simultaneously have to happen. You cannot just stand up one day and.
Agile will more T&M projects will be more successful. I mean, comparatively, they're not saying.
Yeah, visibly it looks like that.
T&M will have more flexibility.
Yeah, but it's not anywhere mentioned that T&M only will work on it. Just an experience. Yeah.
Probably.
Yes. Yes.
In one of the slides, you mentioned the senior people engineer required for Agile project. So it means like less experienced people we cannot put in the Agile project?
I never said senior people, highly skilled people. So junior could be highly skilled. If you see his skill level is up to that, you can put him in Agile. It doesn't say senior, it says highly skilled. So you need a skill level to take ownership and do things. So Agile says self-organized team. To be a self-organized person, you need some level of skill.
say for example 72 points is a sprint, 72 story points.
That's just an example. Okay.
So we can do it more in a sprint or next sprint we can do it next because of resource availability or other plans or anything like that.
You can do it in next sprint, but resource availability will never be an issue because Scrum teams are fixed. You cannot take a resource from a Scrum team. While starting of the sprint, you can do some changes at the end of the sprint, but that is also not recommended. But if you start a sprint, I think some 10, 8 or some number of people can only be in a Scrum team. So if you start with that n number of people, they should be there till the end of the sprint, and even till retrospective. 14 years. So that is recommended. They should be fixed. You cannot change it. You cannot do any changes in between a sprint. Start a sprint, end of sprint, nothing can be changed. Changes can be done to the product backlog. Next sprint they can add. Nothing can be changed. Yes.
Then you can make the same.
Can you go back to the very first slide that you
Very first slide. Long way back. First slide was nothing.
very first slide? Yes.
You want the heading slide? That was just an example. Don't ask him. I just put it for instance. I know what he will ask. And then I sit there also. I know somebody will ask this. That was just. I just want to.
Very fast.
I know that was just an example. Nothing to infer. That slide, that picture says waterfall fails unless it's not like
No, because I'm not from IT background. I'm from non-IT and having done a lot of infrastructural projects,
okay.
I find it extremely difficult to accept that picture. I'll tell you why. I'll give you an example.
I also know it.
Yes,
I just said that. I just said it because it looks like first slide. So I just everybody can.
Maybe you can change the heading.
See, as I told you,
Agile versus traditional IT project management. Suitable.
no. See, Agile, it's not IT. That's what I said in the middle, right? Agile can be used on any projects which uses knowledge-based projects.
That's okay, but then I want to give an example. Chennai Metro is going on.
Okay.
If you take this stretch from Cyberpet bus stand till Ginty Roundup.
Okay, is that knowledge-based project?
No, but I'm talking from this picture point of view.
Okay.
If you see where the Cyberpet bus stand starts, there is a canal, and the metro is coming and out of the ground, it is passing like a temple, other end of the Cyberpet, and then it is crossing again river, and then again it is taking turn, crossing railway line,
I don't
and
know.
then alignment. So there are both ends,
There
there
are
are
changes.
alignments, there
The
are some
constraints.
turns, and if you ask the design engineer and the structural engineer, they must have gone through nightmare to make the line structurally stable and align it at both ends.
Okay.
If I go with this, then it is a disaster. That is what I want to do.
See, that's what I said. That is it a knowledge-based project? It's a difference, right? If I write a line of code, I can delete that and I can I can rewrite the code. Okay. I might not even claim extra hours. If it is what was my mistake, throughout the night I can sit, I can erase everything, I can come up with a better solution. I cannot do that with the bridge. Okay. I cannot build a bridge inside of it and I cannot get up and say it's wrong, I will erase it. That is what they say the difference. No? It's knowledge-based projects, these things are possible. If it is a physical infrastructure project, you need a detailed planning.
This is I think Metro Rail, Chennai Metro Rail is you cannot say it's not knowledge-based project. It is highly knowledge-based.
Knowledge-based is what is the tangible?
That is what I'm looking. The people those who are designing that.
It's not touching the design as
I'm not touching
what
it.
he's saying, entire code is
That's what I'm calling
erased
it.
and rewrite.
What is the definition of your knowledge?
So what value are delivering at the end of Metro Rail?
Then give me the
At the
final
end of Metro Rail, the value is connecting from this point to this point through concrete structure.
Yes.
What you have is a concrete structure. That is the end of it. What value are delivering when you develop the software? I give a set of codes. That's all I give. That's all. So
Here
there
we
is
talk about the output
says knowledge-based projects. Projects where the output itself is knowledge,
Okay,
not a concrete structure or a physical server.
it is not only software. That's what knowledge-based project could be. There are certain projects going on medical and legal projects happening. There are so many other fields also.
So then I think because once earlier one of the Agile project speaker, when I asked, they said yes, Agile can be used for non-IT infrastructure project.
Yes.
Then what you're telling now, I have a big doubt. I don't think it's possible.
Agile can be used in non-IT infrastructure projects, but you need to see, as he said, IBM is using it in physical infrastructure for IT, like servers and other things. They're moving towards Agile. They cannot just implement like this. They need to structure it in a way suitable for their IT development. I mean, it is also physical. What he said is also physical. It's not a bridge, but it's a server data center. They're putting racking server, almost like building a bridge. They are doing network cabling, everything. So they are going into Agile mode on that. But they're not doing it just like iteration 1, iteration 2. They modify that and they use it accordingly. They take some points. That's what I say hybrid project management. So if you want to include some of the best practice, one example is the stand-up call every day. Stand-up call now is common across industries. It's a 10-minute Scrum call that happens in the beginning of the day in a Scrum team. This is being followed across the industries, across automobile industry, everywhere it is happening. 3 questions: what was done yesterday? What will be completed today? Is there any inconvenience? So they have taken all this. So you can do that. That's what I said. You need to discuss your team and.
In fact, the Agile project started with the concept of the software development and delivery of the software, and the other industries are adopting the features and the principle of the Agile into their industry and then customizing. Even infrastructure project is not suitable for the Agile methodology because of the nature of the project. If you want to adopt into a construction, you need to think that what feature of the Agile project you need to adopt and you need to customize the current Agile methodology for the suited project. That's the difference. Actually, it started with the software development. That's how
we share experience with the folks here. In fact, the movie was actually done in Agile. Sorry? The movie Vikram, so Kamal Hassan was completely done in Agile. So in fact, they were not able to travel to Afghanistan at one point in time, so he started another part of the story. Then he didn't get the heroine. So some of the heroines were not fit. So he started with the other heroine. Then he leaves all these extra problems to the relation. So he beautifully explained how he.
I think we should call him for our conference as a speaker.
So they have said that time is up, so we'll stop the question answer section on stage. Maybe we can discuss it down offline. Thanks everyone for your time. Thank you. Thanks, Chennai. Thank you.
Thanks for the detailed session, Mr. Ramanan. Now I request Visu Kumar, mentor PMI India Champion Program, to hand over the memento to the speaker.